Okay, so I know it's been a while. I'm not really, you know, gonna say exactly what happened, but you know, I don't think I've recorded a video in like 2 months, and my life has just gotten incredibly busy. I just don't have a lot of free time, so I haven't had, a lot of time where I've had the energy to sort of sit here and do this video. So, uh, we're gonna do it now. So, Clone Wars season 5. Also, because of that, you may be wondering like how long it takes, in between recording and editing. So, it is currently July 15th right now. I don't know when this is gonna come out, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Clone Wars season 5. So I should just say, for this, I'm gonna do the best I can. Because I've been so busy and whatnot, it has been a little bit since I've actually finished season 5. So, usually I try to record these videos soon after I finish the thing, so it's still fresh in my mind. Unfortunately, that's not 100% the case. I actually had to look over the episode list for this season just so I could even know which ones, what the episodes I'm actually going to be talking about. But looking at the episode list really helped me a lot. So I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna do the best I can. But if I forget something, if you're like you forgot this, it's something super obvious, that's why. So with the start of the season 4 review, I guess, where do I place this season overall? So this actually, it's an interesting thing comparing, with what I remembered versus, looking back at the episode list, because I definitely had recency biased, because season 5 ends on such a, a strong high note. Actually, the last two stories are so, they're great, they are really, really good. And so that sort of left me thinking, hey, this whole season is great then, right? How good those stories are. Looking back on it, that is absolutely not the case. There are some real stinkers in here. In fact, this was the first time, and hopefully the only time, and I think it will be, because season 6 and season 7 are much more condensed, where I actually skipped over part of a storyline. I'll get to it, but it was the filler one. There's 4 episodes of droids running wild, and after episode 2, I sort of realized this isn't going anywhere. And this is just kind of just boring. It's like a waste of time, and I actually skipped the last 2 episodes. So, needless to say, I don't know. So it's weird to compare, as I'll talk about with the episode list, but because this one, I sort of feel the same way I said about season 4, actually. So if you remember, in season 4, I sort of said this has some of the highest ups of, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and has the lowest of lows. I actually feel the same way about this season, except I would actually say more so. I think the lows, I would say, season 4 still had some consistency. Season 5 takes what I said last time, and it just does it a lot more. The lows are the absolute lows of the show, and having gone, a decent amount through season 6, because it's shorter, so every season before this one, before season 6, seasons 1 through 5 have been like 20 something episodes. Season 6 is 13. So they absolutely cut out all the filler. There's no filler episodes. Everything is important. Everything is building up to Revenge of the Sith. And I imagine season 7 is the same way. Well, I know season 7 parallels Revenge of the Sith, but still. And season 5, so the point is, it's probably fair to say that droid arc in season 5 is probably the worst story arc in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Just period. But I'm gonna get more into it obviously when I get there. But it also, so that's what I mean. it has what is probably the worst storyline in the entire show, and it also has what is quite possibly the best. It may straight up be better than the shit. I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember the storyline that I talked about in season 4 as being the best so far. But so yeah, I think this is even more polarizing than season 4. So that's where I'd rank it. So I guess it would sort of be ranked about the same as season 4 then, because of that. So yeah. Okay, so now again, I'm not gonna be able to do this the most accurately, because first off, it's been a while since recorded. I saw the season. It's been a while since I recorded my season 4 review. And while I have done a little bit of editing work, I haven't done a ton. So I haven't really watched it back that much. So at the start of my season 4, which I apologize, by the way, I am hoping to get that done soon. But and get that out to you guys. So I apologize now in advance. But anyway, so in season 4, I sort of did an update of everything from I talked in the seasons 1 through 3 video. How was everything still progressing in the same way? So I'm going to try to do the same. I'm going to try to remember what I said for those past 2 videos and do my best. So one thing that I remember that's sticking out of my mind is I sort of said that the Pirate King, shit, I don't remember his name. I can picture him. Hondo, right? I believe it's Hondo. Yep. Yeah. I sort of said that Hondo was, like one of the major villains. That really is not the case here in season 5. He appears in one storyline where Obi-Wan actually teams up with him because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they're both teaming up to fight Maul. And then he never appears again. So clearly, Hondo putting him on the villains list definitely works for the earlier seasons. It doesn't work here. But Palpatine keeps creeping his way high on the villain list, and it really is interesting. This happens with season 6 a lot as well. All the puzzle pieces are just slowly coming together, and you sort of see more and more that the Republic isn't what it thinks it is, and you slowly see more and more how much of Palpatine's influence there are. I was watching a season 6 episode not that long ago. And it's something small, but it's so noticeable. I don't remember which one it is, so I'm sorry about that, but I think it's the one with the banks where they're having that discussion. But that's also the last storyline I watched, so I could be misremembering. But whatever. Some of the people, the Jedi people, are in Palpatine's office and they're talking to him, and you can see as they show different angles. There's like 4 royal guard, 4 of what, the Emperor's guards, right? With the red hood and the cape and those. There's like 4 of them in that room already. And it's something that just keeps building. And it works so well because it parallels the Jedi. The Jedi not seeing these slow changes, right? Because all these things happen so slowly that they sort of just accept these things as they go on, and so they sort of all happen in the background, and it sort of gets to that point where starting in season 5 and going to season 6 where you're like, wait a second, like we accepted these changes slowly thinking they're fine, what the fuck is going on now? And so sort of seeing Palpatine's increasing presence slowly in the background, and sort of seeing the royal guards everywhere, seeing the clones being used more and more as a purely military, force, and seeing everything being done with the military. It's great. It's done super well here. So I have to say, I'm honestly surprised how much, speaking on topic of villains, I'm really surprised at how little screen time Ventress got for this season. So I could be wrong. I know she appears in the last storyline. I don't think she ever appears again. Maybe she appears once, like fighting Maul, but I don't think she does. I mean, in the first storyline, yeah, I don't think she appears in that one. So it really just is the final storyline that Ventress appears in, which is so interesting because her storyline in the past, season took such a turn from what I expected from becoming regular villain. Right? Like they had in season 4, they had such an interesting setup for this character and what may happen with her. It sort of feels like, I've been watching a lot of Doctor Who content the past, couple days, weekend. I also love that show, by the way. But talking about Missy, in Capaldi's years, who sort of starts out, being the super evil master that we all know, and she sort of slowly becomes an anti-hero by the end of his run. And I'm still upset that that was all completely undone. And don't get me wrong, I want to say, let me see, Sacha Dhawan, I hope I said that right. I want to say he did a great job for the master that was written on the page. It just annoys the hell out of me that they had such great character work with Missy to sort of, she wasn't completely good, but she wasn't completely evil. She was the sort of anti-hero in the middle, and then the next incarnation, they completely ignored all of that. And they also ignored how the hell Missy got out of her situation in Twice Upon a Time anyway, which is something that still bothers me too. But, and it just goes right back to being evil, like super evil. Like everything in the previous incarnation never happened, and it annoys the hell out of me. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that Ventress is like Missy in that she's someone who starts out super evil, but sort of becomes an anti-hero. She becomes slowly, she gets in that part of in between where she's not as good as the good guys, but she's not as bad as the bad guys. And I didn't use quotes there because they are evil. They are actually evil, and they do actually kind of know it. But yeah, so then they had this great setup, and then in season 5 they just don't use it at all. It's a bit disappointing, and actually I have yet to see her in season 6 also. Again, I'm like 6 or 7 episodes there, so I'm about halfway, somewhere around there. And I have yet to see Ventress make an appearance there too, so I hope they wrap up her storyline. I mean, I'm intrigued. It's just weird that they had this great setup and then they have this large absence. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I did a good job at it, but that's what I was trying to say. I should mention it, Dooku still has the giant stick up his ass. I mean, basically everything I said about Dooku in in my season 4 review stands true. He doesn't really change at all. He still has the giant stick up his ass, and he still thinks that he won't be betrayed. Although something I will say that's interesting, and this is actually isn't season 5. This is the first episode of season 6. So minor spoilers. If you were for some reason during a watch party, you wanted to watch each review with each season, I'm going to talk about briefly the first episode of season 6. So season 6, I won't go into what happens or anything, but I will say it's about the chip, the one that's put in the clones, so they execute Order 66. And something I was watching, wondering while watching it, was I was curious as to whether Dooku actually knew this plan was happening, because I sort of saw it from Palpatine's point of view. That's a quick exit plan, right? Like, obviously it's clear, both from Revenge of the Sith and from Clone Wars, Palpatine wants Anakin to kill Dooku. He wants it to be something that lures him to the dark side, if not if not pushing him over the edge entirely. He sort of wants to use that to guide Anakin's transition, not into a female, into the dark side of the Force. What was I gonna say? Oh, so I thought Order 66 might have been a good, I guess, exit plan, a good backup, right? Because he doesn't want Dooku around for his new empire. So if he's still alive by the time of Order 66, I could see him, sort of turning on Dooku. I could see him saying execute Order 66, and then having Dooku like sort of unaware what's happening be killed. Which, to be fair, honestly, that could still happen anyway. It's much less likely to happen though if he knows it's coming. Like if he, especially because clones have already tried to kill him, so I guess it wouldn't work that well then. But I don't know. That's just a thought I had. But Dooku, that's the only interesting thing I have to say about Dooku, and it's from season 6. But yeah, Dooku is the same stick up his ass as before. So now I guess we should talk about, the heroes, the other side of the spectrum. And what's sort of interesting is they all sort of get like one storyline, and that's kind of it. Obi-Wan gets the one on Mandalore. That one is obviously he's a huge focus of, but then he's not really in the season. Like outside of that one storyline, he just isn't really involved at all. Ahsoka gets the first storyline because it brings back Rex, and it's not Rex. Rex is the fucking main ass clone. No, it is Rex. Yeah, okay, I was right. Yeah, because they bring back Rex, and so Ahsoka's involved in that storyline, and she's also involved in the last one. Anakin's really big focus is the last one, but actually, I mean, we'll see what happens, because I can tell you that, having watched a lot of season 6, Anakin is the main focus of that season. So we'll sort of see what happens from there. I mean, I guess, that's not entirely true, because you have that first line with the chip where he's like as a background character, like he's not the main focus, like he's in there, but he's not the main character. So I guess we'll see what happens, but Anakin really gets the last storyline. Ahsoka gets, yeah, that's really it actually. Because I guess Maul, I should have mentioned this with the fucking villains part. Maul and Savage Opress. I don't know. I don't love them as villains. I don't hate them. I'm glad that they do more than just try to kill Obi-Wan, though. That much I can say is true. But it's like, I don't know. He still feels very one-dimensional. So, if it's not kill Obi-Wan, it's kill someone else and try to grab power. Like, it's okay. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I know he does appear in Rebels as well, so we'll sort of see what happens there. But I don't know. I mean, he's cool. He's a cool badass, but I don't think he makes for a super interesting villain. He's sort of someone that I'm fine with him being there sometimes, but if he's there just all the time, it just gets too much. So, yeah. Now, as for the clones, so in season 4, I talked a lot about how the clones are seen as sort of human and everything like that. In this one, we're sort of, I don't want to say given the opposite, but we kind of are. And like, obviously the clones are human, but it sort of becomes clear nobody sees them as such, right? Like, this is sort of the first season where you see they sort of are used to brute force everything, in that it's everything goes through the military. That's one of the big things you see in this season, and so they are the clones, and it sort of feels like their humanity really starts to feel lost here. You know, the days of the, you know, Plo Koon, not to me, are kind of over. They're just a big military force. They're just people with guns who need to do what the Republic says. You know, like, I mean, and they were kind of that before, but now that's all they are. And so, you know, they're just a weapon. That's all they are, and it's sad, but I mean, I don't know what else to say that I haven't said already. Okay, so now we're actually gonna start getting into the storylines now. So I say let's go. Let's get it done. I'm tired. I don't really feel like doing this anymore. So let's see. I'll try one more episode. Let's see. So the first storyline is actually so interesting. So it's a five-parter. This one was okay. It feels like it dragged on too long. There's some interesting philosophy here, though. So this is the one with Rex and Ahsoka, with Onderon. Oh, actually, no. I'm sorry. So the first episode is the one that Hondo is in, and it's where Obi-Wan and Hondo team up on Darth Maul, because Darth Maul basically says to some pirates, "Join me or I will kill you." And you know, then Hondo's like, "Hey, I don't fucking like that shit." And Obi-Wan's getting under attack because, again, Darth Maul's just, "Hey, Obi-Wan cut me in half. Let me kill him." That's all he is. Wait, shit. Actually, hold on. I forgot to talk about this with Darth Maul. This is the one I think. Maybe it's in season 6. Let me look at season 6. To make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so that is their last appearance of the season, is season 5, episode 16. That's where Palpatine lays the fuck down with them. That's where he kills Savage Opress and and basically says, "The only reason I'm not killing you is because I have a use for you." And I have to say, I absolutely fucking love that scene so much. That is, without a doubt, one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. It's crazy, and I'm sure that isn't new. I mean, I looked at the YouTube video for the fight to determine where the episode is, and it has 24 million views. So I know that's not new, but the reason why I love this is we hardly ever seen just how strong of a Sith Lord Palpatine is. We're told how much of a strong Sith Lord Palpatine is. You know, Palpatine has an incredibly strong presence, but aside from, you know, that one scene in Revenge of the Sith, which, I'm sorry, it just looks goofy. I mean, what, Ian McDiarmid? I want to say that's the Palpatine actor. Ian McDiarmid. Yep. Ian McDiarmid played Palpatine. It was very clear they didn't choose him for lightsaber combat when they cast him in, I want to say episode 5, but that's not true. They cast him for Return of the Jedi. And I wanted to be completely clear here. I really love Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. He does an amazing job. But it's clear he just doesn't know how to wield a lightsaber. He doesn't fully feel like the Sith Lord that we all know he can be. In that scene, he kind of just flails his lightsaber a bit, and then it just works. And again, I'm not faulting Ian McDiarmid. I don't think it's his fault. I don't think they really cast. I don't think they cast someone who for lightsaber duels. You know, Ian McDiarmid killed everything else about the character. Emperor Palpatine would not be the same without Ian McDiarmid playing him. He was just absolutely fantastic. It's just he didn't have the lightsaber skills. So this is the scene. This is the first scene where it's like, holy shit, this is how strong Palpatine is. You know, it's just amazing. He just just force chokes the clone, says get the fuck out of here. And you have Darth Maul and Savage Opress, who for like the past season and a half, we've shown just how fucking strong they are. And Palpatine just destroys them like it's child play. He just goes, oh, you think you're fucking strong? I'm just going to... You're dead. You know, sorry. You're dead. I killed you now. And it's just like... This is how strong he is. It's just like, wow. You know, he is just that insanely strong that he, just without even blinking, can just destroy Darth Maul and Savage Opress. So I absolutely love that scene.
Please, please.
There is no mercy.
But aside from that, Darth Maul's just like, okay. And I was never a fan of Savage Opress, actually. Sorry, trying to do like the emoji. My hands to the side. Okay, so we actually are going to talk about the first episode now. The first episode was Darth Maul hunting Obi-Wan and Hondo and everything like that. This one was fine. I mean, the lightsaber combat in this one was really cool. I will say that much. The lightsaber combat was really cool. That's really the only thing I have to say about it. So, next. Okay, so next is the storyline that I originally thought was first. And it's the one on Onderon. Of course, it sounds just like Alderaan, which Onderon. You know, try saying that 50 times and not getting confused. But this one was okay. Again, I thought the philosophy presented here was interesting. You know, because it's sort of, but it's also sort of the thing they're presenting a lot of the time through the show. And you know, the rebels are stated in the show, just openly stated, as terrorists. And even though even though like they are good, right? Like the evil ruler of Onderon is pretty shitty. They really are terrorists. And you know, they hurt people to make a point, right? You know, like they say they're working for the people, but they also are not afraid to hurt people to get to their goal. You know, they're not afraid to hurt people to make a statement about how bad the government is. You know, they did do bombings. And honestly, so there was this scene, I want to watch it, you know, quickly. I'm going to try to insert it in here. But so, you know, there's this scene in one of the storylines. I think, yeah, so here we go. So it's the second to last storyline in episode in the storyline, episode 4, where the king, the old king, which is who the terrorists think they should be in charge. is about to be executed. And right before he's executed, they sort of have a smoke bombs and they start shooting all over the place. I couldn't help but be reminded of that scene from The Dark Knight, where the mayor is shot in, such a similar way. I don't know. It could be completely in my head, but as I was watching that scene, that's just what I thought of. I'll try to do a comparison. I'll try to play them back to back and see, obviously I won't be able to do the whole scene, but just like the beginning. But sort of see what you guys think.
Not yet. Now. Come on, go! Come with us. Blast them.
Tell me what you know about the Joker.
But that's also sort of my point about this episode, is that, what they were trying to make, is that these rebels aren't that great. I mean, they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing, but they're going about it in the wrong way. It doesn't seem like if they're willing to take lives, it really is, all roads lead back to Batman. I'm kidding. But in this case, I just talked about Batman. I'm about to talk Batman again. Batman has, Batman, I'm also not the biggest Batman fan, by the way. I like Batman when, I like Batman a lot, like, when he's done well. Like, I love The Dark Knight. But I don't just inherently just like, that Batman is very cool superhero. I don't know. When he's done well, I really like it. But I just don't, just inherently, Batman's sick. No, that's not really me. Batman has his one rule, to not kill people, right? And it's very, very clear why he has that one rule. It's so he's better than the villains he's keeping off the streets, right? It's so, because if Batman kills the villains, he's no better. He's inflicting, the same sort of vigilante justice that that the villains are inflicting to their victims. So he wants to not be the villains. He wants to be better than the villains, which is why he doesn't kill. And it's sort of like the same logic applies here. The rebels aren't better than, even though they want what's right, and even though they want what's best for their country, and the old ruler probably is what's best for their country, at least based off of the way it's presented in the show. It's hard to actually definitively say that, because we don't see the planet afterwards, but maybe we do, who knows, but it doesn't seem like we will. But even let's just assume that they were right, and that this king is better for the planet than, the separatist guy. Their methods, because they kill people and they weren't afraid to let innocents be hurt, they were still no better than the people in charge. And so it's not unfair to label them as terrorists. And sort of that philosophy is interesting, where it's, where you can say, how do you go about changing this without hurting people, without causing this much suffering? How do we go about this? And so, I mean, I don't know. I think Gandhi is probably your best example to look at here, but I'm not seeking to actually answer the question. It's just an interesting thought experiment, I guess. you know, that these heroes aren't really that much better than the villains. And honestly, you could say the same for, you know, the rebels in actual Star Wars. I mean, you know, A New Hope, Empire. You know, I mean, think about how many people died on the Death Star, both times. And obviously they chose to work for the Empire, but some people just had no choice and were just in a shitty situation. And I'm sure while there were shitheads on the Death Star, well, we know that Tarkin was on the first Death Star. They're not all of them, and Tarkin's interesting, by the way. You know, Tarkin appearing in Clone Wars sort of represents the rise of the militaristic force. You know, as I said, sort of everything conducted through the military, and that's sort of something that we see more and more, is Tarkin just appears in random places talking about how we should use military force to solve issues. But anyway, think about how many people were on the Death Star when it blew up, and while there were shitty people, think about how many were probably just trying to live their lives and just trying to get by and just survive, you know? And Luke blew them all up. You know, so that's sort of that same logic applies there, but it feels like it's actually addressed more in this episode, and that's interesting. And while that philosophy is interesting, I wasn't really enthralled by the rest of it. So yeah, that's just it. Next. Okay, so next is the one with the Jedi younglings, where they have to go through these trials. I actually quite enjoyed these episodes. I think these two were quite good. The one thing I will say I found really sad is sort of like I talked about in the season 3 finale, how it had Jedi sort of brought back, and how those Jedi would be killed in Order 66, and that was actually pretty sad. I largely feel the same way here, actually. In that, I mean, yeah, these Jedi, you know, that we sort of get invested in and want to succeed, they're going to die. They're going to be killed. There's like a near 0% chance that, especially because they're young Jedi, right? They're young Jedi, so they won't really be able to fight the clones, you know, fight as many clones as well as you would need to be able to survive. They're going to die. They're dead. They're dead men walking. So sort of getting invested in their storylines is just like, well, shit. I'm invested in this now, and they're dead. Like, they're basically dead. And that's sad. Also, I have to say, obviously, I mentioned it before, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. And even though, you know, David Tennant is like, I mean, I like him, but he's not like my favorite. I much prefer, actually, I prefer like every other Doctor around him. I prefer Eccleston, I prefer Smith, I prefer Capaldi. And I feel bad for Jodie because I just did not like her writing, but I thought she did a good job. But I also sort of felt the same way with Tennant. Not that the writing was bad. Before all you commenters get in the comments, I just didn't like how his Doctor was characterized personally. I much prefer the characterizations of the other Doctors around him. That is a story for another time. The point is, when I heard Tennant's voice as that random Jedi training robot, I was like, what the fuck? You know, and I didn't pick up on it at first, but as I was listening to him talk more, I was like, wait a second, that's David Tennant. And I also want to say, I still, you know, adore David Tennant. Like, I still have so much respect for him on the show, on Doctor Who, even though, like I said, his Doctor's characterization wasn't my favorite. Personally, it's my opinion. I know all you know, there's probably get a lot of hate if more people watch this, but if not people watch this, but still. you know, I still freaked out when I saw when David Tennant was this role. I was like, that sounds like him, and I actually can't believe he's reprising his role too. So if you don't know, I don't mean to talk to you, but in the Ahsoka trailer, that droid that David Tennant voiced is there. Now it's a CGI monstrosity, so it's not. So it's, you know, like, I don't think it's David Tennant doing the motion capture work. I think he's put in a voiceover booth the same way he was in Clone Wars. But, so he did lines for this Ahsoka in August, and then in November, he's the Doctor again. Like, that's just fucking crazy. Like, he's in Star Wars and Doctor Who, like, a couple months apart from each other. Like, that's just fucking wild, and it's great, and it sort of is like a nerd fever dream, but, though really, I will be so, again, I will probably do a Doctor Who 60th anniversary expectations video at some point, you know, probably at some point in October. I will be so upset if Matt Smith isn't in there at all. Just saying. Obviously, Eccleston and Capaldi are... Eccleston's not happening. Capaldi's probably not happening. I will be so upset if Matt Smith isn't in that special. just putting it out there. But, you know, I'm still obviously excited to see David Tennant as a Doctor again. And that's... I got so off track on this. So let me get back. I really liked... that these young Jedi, you sort of see that they all have to overcome a challenge related to them. You know, they all have to overcome, you know, they have to be Jedi, right? You know, and they have a personalized challenge where all of them, you know, the selfish guy had to be selfless. The girl afraid of heights had to climb. The Wookiee who had no patience had to wait, and be precise. You know, all these things that were tailored for them. It was super cool to see. Although something I'm actually very interested in, and I'm sure there is a canon answer to this somewhere, is Luke, right? You know, because Luke, I mean, I don't know if he went to this exact place for the Kyber crystals, but he had to have gone to something similar in between episodes 5 and 6 when he was making his second lightsaber. And my biggest question is, wouldn't Palpatine like have this area like locked up? Like wouldn't he want to like have like a bunch of guards in this area and sort of say, yeah, we don't want any Jedi because we don't want anybody, you know, as a threat to the Empire. I think Jedi Survivor addresses this a little bit. But I don't really know. I haven't played that game, unfortunately. It's just, I'm not a PC gamer, and I only have a Switch, so... but I would love to play that game, but it's just not really feasible for me at the moment. But anyway, let's not talk about that. You know, I wonder what Luke's trial was. Right, because this was his first real this was his own lightsaber. You know, he got a lightsaber from Anakin. You know, he got Anakin's lightsaber. He inherited that one. You know, when he makes his own lightsaber for Return of the Jedi, you know, he has to go through his own trial. So I wonder what his trial was. Was he able to get to that area, or did he have to go somewhere else? I don't know. These are just questions I have the answer. I want the answer to, now that I know sort of how Jedis make their lightsaber. But this was actually a really good storyline. I really like this one, and you know, sort of the next episode sort of finishes that. Yeah, I think the next 2, but yeah, this is a really solid storyline. I really like this quite a bit, and the greatest part of this is you literally need to know nothing about the show to be able to watch the first episode. I mean, the other 2, you don't either, but I think the first episode is the one worth watching the most because it's the one where they go through their trials. And so I would recommend any Star Wars fan actually watch this episode. You don't have to watch the rest of Clone Wars, but I think this is a really cool and interesting episode that just completely stands on its own. So I would recommend, you watch it. And actually, I'll give you the episode name just so you can go and watch it. Here we go. Season 5, Episode 6, The Gathering. That's the one where they all go through their trials to get the Kyber Crystal. Go watch it if you haven't already. It's pretty good. Okay. So now we have come to the worst storyline in all of Clone Wars. The filler. So now, if you've watched my Season 4 video, which first off, thank you. If you've watched both these videos, if you watched my Season 4 video and you watched this one to this point, thank you. You realize the thing that I said was really annoying about filler episodes in that season was how they were placed. And I still agree with, and that, actually, the filler episodes itself aren't placed horribly here. But the one thing I said that I want to call out here is that the filler episodes should be spread out, right? Because if you have the filler episodes all at once, it just feels so grating. And that's exactly what they have here. 4 consecutive episodes that are nothing but filler. Like I said, I skipped it. Actually, I watched the first 2 episodes and was like, and I was hesitant to skip it after the first one. I was like, when I saw this filler, I was like, maybe there will be some relevant information in here somehow. Watch the second episode, there's absolutely none. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to make a bet that there's not going to be anything relevant in the last 2 either. And I mean, I think that bet was right. I don't know. But I didn't watch the rest of the season or what I've seen in season 6 thinking like, is that from the episode I skipped? Did I miss something here? No. These episodes, like, they're not bad. But I think this should have been limited to 1. I think if you limited this to 1 episode, it would have been fine. So the first episode, they're sort of like infiltrating a ship. It's like R2-D2 and a bunch of droids and the small little commander infiltrating a ship. And the commander thinks he knows what he's doing, but there's this droid that talks, that is like, I know better. I could do things. And then R2-D2 also goes against him. And like, for 20 minutes, it's fine, right? For 20 minutes, it's not the best thing, but it's enjoyable enough. It's a fun little adventure. They go on their way. It's fine. The second episode does the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. The setting changes a little bit. So now they're stranded on a planet, but the dynamic is the exact same. Nothing changes. And it's just like, like, what is the point of this episode being here? Especially because it's 4 episodes. I understand if it's 1 episode, right? If it's 1 or 2 episodes, because I can understand it can be hard to think of another storyline. You're right, and right, like, so if if the order from Disney was 23 episodes, let's see actually how long. Okay, so this is actually 20, so it's actually less than season 4. That's honestly even more pathetic. So this is 20 episodes instead of, I think, pretty sure season 4 was 23. Let's see. 4 was 22. Let's see. Yeah, the first. Okay. So the first 4 were 22, and this is 20. So that's even more pathetic. But so let's just say 22 episode season or season order. You make 21 episodes with good storylines that you're proud of, and you're sort of left there with 1 episode. I can understand the desire there to make just 1 filler episode there, and sort of be like, we sort of have everything that we want. We don't want to add anything else to the story to make it more convoluted. We don't want to, or ruin the pacing. We have everything we want. We'll stick in a random episode there with R2-D2 and C-3PO. It'll be fine. 4 episodes. 4 episodes. 4 episodes. And it's 2 episodes lower. The season as a whole is 2 episodes lower than the other 4 seasons. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You couldn't think of one other storyline than the ones you had? You used up all the storylines already? Like, come the fuck on. You just need to think of one more. And you could stretch it out into over 4 episodes. Just one more. You could stretch it out more than it needed to be. Like what I complained about in season 4. About the arc with the Obi-Wan almost dying, and how that 3rd episode that was like Squid Game did nothing for the plot, but it was there anyway. You could do that. You could make a storyline longer. You know, you can make a new storyline, and if you don't feel like make a new storyline for something else, if you don't feel like it fits for 4 episodes, you can make it, expand it, do something else, or you could make that storyline 3 episodes. And then you could put in that 1 episode of R2-D2 doing the space infiltration that was just cute and harmless fun. That I didn't want to skip. That I, didn't want to lose my mind over. 4 episodes. 4 episodes. I don't know what else to say. It's frustrating. This is by far the worst story ever in Clone Wars. And I know there had to be one, right? Obviously, there always has to be the worst of something. But did it really have to be this? An actual, like, solid or okay storyline. Like, I don't know. I can't think of any examples. Let me try to find something that's an example of, like, what I'm talking about. I guess Water War. No. Let's see. Like Gungan Attack. There we go. Yes. Like that one with Jar Jar, where they do a prisoner swap for Grievous. Like that one, you could have an episode, the worst episode, be about that quality, and that's a totally good show. It has to be this. It has to be this. Why does it have to be this? I got no answers for you. I'm sorry, Dave Filoni. I really like what you have done with this show. I really did not like what you did with these 4 episodes, and I didn't even watch the last 2. So I don't know what else to say. Okay, let's take a breather. So actually, I lost some footage of me starting to rant again and saying it's not worth it. And you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I said my piece already. So, let's talk about some actual good Star Wars now. Episode 14, 15, 16. Darth Maul teams up with Death Watch, and Death Watch, for some reason, does not foresee what's going to happen. I don't know why. Why do people keep teaming up with Sith and are then surprised when the Sith betrays them? Why does that keep happening? Like serious question. That's what happens with Dooku. It's what happens here. It's what happens all the damn time. Really, it happened with Vader in Return of the Jedi too. Because it didn't happen fully, right? But Emperor was fully hoping Luke would kill Vader and become the next Sith, become his apprentice. And that didn't happen. But Palpatine totally sold Vader out in that moment. Again, so it's like, why are people so damn surprised when Sith act like Sith? I mean, that's what they are. They only care about themselves. They only care about their own power. Of course they're going to betray you the second it means they can get more power out of betraying you. So, of course, that's what happens here. Darth Maul, helps Death Watch take over Mandalore. And then Maul just kills him. And Maul kills the leader of Death Watch. He's like, yeah, time for you to die. And then they duel, which is great. And then Maul kills him. So suddenly he owns Death Watch. And then Palpatine, of course, at the end of the storyline, kicks his butt and says like, "You work for me now, bitch." And so yeah, that's what happened. But, you know, this is actually really solid. I don't know, and also it was cool that we saw Bo-Katan. So this isn't the first time we've seen Bo-Katan in Clone Wars, but you know, so this is obviously the reverse for me, right? You know, I'm sure there are people who watch, you know, when people watch Clone Wars when it first came out, they're experiencing the reverse of what happened now, where they saw the natural progression of Bo-Katan from Clone Wars to The Mandalorian. That's the opposite for me. I saw The Mandalorian first. So I'm sort of getting like the Bo-Katan prequel, you know, Bo-Katan origin story here. And it is interesting because it feels like she's such a different person from the one. Granted, there's a lot of time in between this, so, you know, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. But there's such a stark contrast between Bo-Katan in this show and Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian. And I will say, this storyline sort of, it seems to start that change between the two. Because Bo-Katan, she sort of acts like a Sith a bit, you know, for Clone Wars before. Because she sort of only cares about power. And now, it's sort of like what I talked about in Lord of the Rings, in my Fellowship video, which, by the way, I have stopped reading The Two Towers for a little bit. So there's going to be a big delay on that video, but it's going to, you know, because like I said, I've been so busy. But don't you worry, it is coming. It will happen. I don't know, you know, place your bets now on whether the Two Towers video is going to be longer or shorter than my Fellowship video, because I honestly have no idea. But it's going to happen. It's probably going to be multiple hours long too. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I said in that video that the power still corrupts them, even if they want to use the power for the right thing. Like Boromir with the ring, and Saruman kinda. I wouldn't say, but Boromir definitely. Boromir is a great example. You know, trying wanting the ring, to do good things, but it would corrupt them. And Gandalf too even admits that this would happen. And you know, that's sort of, I think, what happened with Bo-Katan here. You know, even though she says that she wants to use the power for the right thing and to further Mandalore, and that's really what all of Death Watch says, they're still so consumed by it, they can't see that they're sort of harming Mandalore. You know, they appoint a new leader who's incredibly fucking corrupt, you know, who got arrested for moving things in the black market, you know, for engaging in black market dealings. This is the person you put in power? Like, this is who you trust? Like, that's so sketch. And, you know, they say they want what's best for the people, but they're not afraid to kill people. And, you know, again, you know, like what I discussed with Alderaan. You know, they don't care. Well, the difference is, Alderaan, you know, they weren't afraid to kill people, but it didn't seem like they wanted to do it. Death Watch straight up does not give a shit if they kill people to achieve what's better for the people, because somehow that makes, you know, because somehow that's supposed to make sense that they're willing to kill people to further, you know, to better people's lives. Huh? But yeah. One sec. What's say on here? But yeah. So Bo-Katan goes from that to you know, what we see in Mandalorian, which is very different. Bo-Katan seems to actually have morals and principles and isn't willing to kill people. Well, you know, while the dreams are the same, she, you know, the ends don't justify the means to her anymore. And so that's, you know, character growth, character development. And it really starts here where, I mean, does it? I guess, I think it's a catalyst, right? Darth Maul kills the guy, and Bo-Katan says, "You're not a true Mandalorian." I don't know. I'm sorry why you just squeaky voice. Bo-Katan says, "You're not a true Mandalorian." You shouldn't be ruling Mandalore. This planet is gonna go to shit because you rule. I'm leaving. And yeah, it sort of feels like it starts her thinking, well, especially with everyone Death Watch siding with Maul, he's thinking, it sort of seems like it's gonna start her thinking, yeah, maybe this wasn't the best idea. Maybe I should have gone about this differently. I think that the way I was living, not the best way. But, so yeah, that's interesting to see. Overall, this storyline is, once again, really, really solid. Go watch it. Hey everyone, it's Editing Alec here. So I was just, editing this part. Almost done with this video finally. Should be out soon. And I noticed I missed something very, very important from this episode, and so I just feel like I have to talk about it. Just to get some perspective on the timeline, so obviously I said this was recorded in July, I believe it was. I'm sitting here the day before Valentine's Day 2024 doing this. And in terms of what I've watched to this point, Clone Wars has been done for months and months. I just finished Rebels 2 weeks ago, I think, and I watched the first 3 episodes of Ahsoka. So I've seen it all, and that's honestly, in this case, it's good because it really helped me see the importance of this for Bo-Katan's character arc. And I think I don't know if I just forgot this happened in this episode. Maybe I thought this happened in season 6 initially when I recorded it. I don't really know. But I went back to double check because I wasn't sure myself, but it's been so long, I wasn't sure. But one thing I really, really did not talk about in this storyline, which I really think I have to, Duchess Satine's death. Right, so she was the original ruler of Mandalore before all this crazy nonsense went down. And her death is really, really important for Bo-Katan. Obviously, I mean, I'm not going to say she's not important to Obi-Wan, but at that point, he's already so far committed to the Jedi Order. He's not turning or anything, I'm not saying, it doesn't affect him, but by this point in the show, Obi-Wan doesn't really have that much to do anyway. Gonna be honest. So, this feels probably, again, it's been a while, but I feel it might be, his most impactful episode of the show at this point. But it has a lot with Bo-Katan. So, yeah, Duchess Satine, I think, obviously it's said in the show, her and Bo-Katan, they had a very rocky relationship. But what I think Bo-Katan saw, and she didn't really see until, her sister was killed right in front of her eyes, was that they wanted the same thing. And I think it's a combination of her death and Maul being taking over Mandalore. In that, Satine, I think Bo-Katan saw Satine and she thought she was too diplomatic. It basically goes back to that. I'm not going to put it in because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's gone there. But it sort of feels like that conversation Saw Gerrera had with Mon Mothma and Rebels Season 4. Like I said, this has been recorded months and months ago. So I watched, I haven't stopped watching Star Wars just because I haven't, edited. But that's sort of what it feels like, right? Where they both want the same thing, but they don't really believe in the other's methods. I think Bo-Katan sees that fully for the first time after her death, right? And what she died doing, trying to save Mandalore. She fought for that until the very end. And so I think between that and clearly Death Watch was unsuccessful. I mean, you can look at what happened here. They took over Mandalore only for Maul to just take it right back, basically. And, leave everyone in a not good spot, right? Obviously, as I did mention, Bo-Katan was not happy about the spot that was in. So I think it's those two things combined that really led Bo-Katan to be like, you know, this way that I chose, it did not work. And I think you see that more, really. You know, I mean, I don't want to spoil the other season. It's hard for me to talk about this fully because I want to talk about the other Star Wars stuff I've seen, but if you're doing this as a Star Wars watch-along, you know, whether now or in the future, whatever, where you're watching the season of the show, then listening to me talk about it, this is going to be different. But so I'm just going to spoil some stuff. If you've never seen that's about Clone Wars Season 7 and some Rebels, so if you haven't seen that stuff, skip to the next section of this video, because I'm just going to briefly talk about it. So, Clone Wars Season 7, Bo-Katan wants to take over Mandalore, right? And the Sith get Ahsoka to help with that. And it feels like, honestly, it feels like out of revenge, both for her sister and for the planet. But she's still not quite there, the Bo-Katan we see, but in Mandalorian. But it feels like, again, like she takes a step closer, right? She's not using the same... You know, she's still choosing violence, but she's not using the same extremist violence that Death Watch use. You know, because again, she saw how well that did not work out. And, you know, you see that more in Rebels too. And really, Duchess Satine's death is really the catalyst for that. For making this brash, uncaring... Bo-Katan, for turning her into the character we see in The Mandalorian. It all started here with Duchess Satine, and I feel like that's something that needs to be recognized. So, yeah, that's everything I think I have for right now. So, thank you guys for watching this far. There's just one storyline left, so the fact that I'm at this part in the recording editing means it should be up soon. So, thank you guys so much, and let's go back to Past Me, July Me. Way more heartbreaking than what I talked about when, you know, with the clones all dying on Navarro? Umbara, I think it's what it's called. Yeah, I sort of realized while looking at the name after I said Umbra a million times in my Season 4 review, it wasn't that. I think it's Umbara. Umbria? Let me see. Darkness on Umbara. Umbara. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. But okay, so we have come to the storyline that is probably better than that one. Well, it's definitely, if it's not more better, it's definitely more sad, which is weird to believe. But so Season 5, Episodes 17, 18, 19, 20. So remember when I said in my Season 4 review that I was looking forward to seeing Ahsoka leave the Jedi Temple and see her go on that journey? Well, here it is. And honestly, I was really surprised. So I knew this was coming. And also, I should state, I've seen... shit, I don't remember the name. I'm going to give credit to this channel because this video is honestly amazing. And I would recommend you guys watch it. Politics of Star Wars prequels. Okay. Here we go. It's by Arkin the American. I'm going to put the video, hopefully in the iCard. There should be at some point the iCard of the video I'm going to be talking about should be appearing on screen somehow, and hopefully I'll remember to put it in the description too. The video is called How Liberty Dies: The Politics of Star Wars. It's talking about Star Wars prequels, and it goes into this storyline pretty heavily. So I did watch it. It had been a little bit since I watched it, which is on purpose, because I didn't want to spoil anything from Clone Wars that I didn't see that I've forgotten from my first 2, I think, watches of that video. But so I knew what the twist was of this episode, and I knew Ahsoka left the Jedi Order before this video, to be fair. But this is, sort of showed that scene between Anakin and Ahsoka at the end. The one thing I will say, though, was I did not think it was here. I thought it was in Season 6 where this happened. In fact, I was pretty convinced it happened in Season 6. But it happened at the end of Season 5. It happened earlier than I thought, which is really interesting. I wonder, if Ahsoka's just out of Season 6 entirely. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. But she hasn't been in Season 6 so far. And it doesn't seem like she'll appear in it at all since she's no longer a part of the Jedi Order. But anyway, so this storyline, really damn good. So, like, wow. This was so good. Again, this is Ventress. So I'm going to talk about Ventress first, because Ventress is the only storyline Ventress appears in. Yeah, man. I mean, she's an anti-hero now. Like I said, she helps out Ahsoka because Ahsoka offered to help her out, which is something a villain would never do. A villain would never just straight up help the bad guys. But that's what happened here. And that's, again, it's interesting to see. It's also interesting to see what she's going to do with lightsabers now. Because whatever her name is, stole Ventress's lightsabers. And I doubt the Republic is going to be like, hey, Ventress, you're a separatist traitor and a known criminal. We're just going to give you your lightsabers back. We're just going to give you your lightsaber back so you can be more of a nuisance to us. So it'll be interesting to see if she does get a new lightsaber. What happens there and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I wonder if we'll see Ahsoka make her clear whites. That would be super cool to see. Anyway, Ventress being in this was super interesting. And I want to see more Ventress. I'm very curious what they do with their storyline, and she wasn't in this at all. So it was cool to see her in here. Also, so I sort of talked about, now, and this is actually something, so I'm going to probably play the clip from that video that I mentioned that sort of says what I want to say very well. But like I said, I talked about in my videos and my past videos on Clone Wars, and then talking about it here, how everything sort of happened in the background. How the Republic's downfall happens in the background while the Jedi focus on the war. And you can see, and how if you're paying attention, you can see it happening. This is the first time we actually legitimately see it. Right? Like, this is the first time we see it in full force. The trial room where Ahsoka is put on trial, it's so threatening, It doesn't feel like a fair trial. It's not something that feels like a place, it's not something that feels like where fair trials happen. It sort of feels like, you're a criminal. Sucks to suck. Sucks to suck, criminal. You were brought here. You're about to die, bitch. That's what it feels like. And obviously that's very intentional. It's all super militaristic. We see the military's army in full force against Ahsoka, even if the blasters were set to stun. Everything comes together. All the background pieces come together in this here, and you sort of see for the first time just how far the Republic has fallen. And it's, I don't know, it's great to see. But the thing, even aside from all that, the thing that breaks my heart the most about this episode is Anakin and Ahsoka. I didn't realize, and I'm not talking about romantically. I mean just as friends. I didn't realize how much I cared about their relationship until I saw this episode. Seriously. Because, I knew that was going to happen, but this was the first time I really felt it. their relationship doesn't have a happy ending. It can't have a happy ending because we know what happens with Anakin. We know what he becomes, and we know that Ahsoka isn't going to exactly be happy with that. So you sort of know that their relationship is doomed, and seeing it here, seeing it crumble here is so sad. Because you could tell how much they care about each other and how much they mean to each other, and it just crumbles. It just breaks. That's just it. It's so sad. It's so sad that also, again, you're talking about strain and distance. So sad that they both want what's best for each other. You know, that's their end goal, but they don't know how to go about it. You know, you can sort of see Anakin thinking that it would be better if Ahsoka turned herself in, but it doesn't feel. It feels like he knows that. And Ahsoka wants what's best for Anakin too, but she doesn't know what that is anymore. So it's just, it's very sad. And something that I thought after finishing the storyline, and I hope it's true, is Ahsoka's obviously going to be, when she learns, I don't know if we see when she learns that Anakin became Darth Vader, but when she learns that, it's going to break her heart that this person she cared about so much was, you know, became a mass murderer and did these horrible things. And it's just really sad. You know, to think that Anakin, the person she cared about so much, was that far gone. You know, so the first thing I thought of actually when I finished the storyline was, I hope Luke tells her. I hope Luke, after the events of Return of the Jedi, tells Ahsoka that Anakin wasn't fully dead and that he came back and that he saved my life. And, you know, the person that you loved, even if not romantically, you know, they didn't, person you loved wasn't dead. He came back, you know? He came back, he brought balance to the Force, and if you saw him there, he would have been really proud of you. But also, actually, this will be interesting to see. I wonder if they'll talk about this in the show, or maybe in Rebels. Anakin's a Force ghost. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Luke told all of this to Ahsoka, but Anakin can tell that to her himself, you know, via the Force ghost. And I hope that does happen. I don't know. We'll see if it happens. God, I'll say I know it will be Hayden Christensen appearing as Anakin in the Force Ghost, because I'm sure the actor who originally played Darth Vader is either too old to do it, and I don't want them to do a replica CGI of him. That feels just like a disservice. But if they could do that, that's what I would want. That's what I want them to do. But obviously, having Hayden come back would be more meaningful because that's the Anakin Ahsoka knew. But it's not. You know, I don't know. I don't love it, but I at least hope, you know, maybe Anakin appears in the show as the Force Ghost. You know, Hayden came back last year for the Obi-Wan show. If you know, he could come back again here, that would be really cool. And it's just so sad. Again, it's so sad seeing the relationship crumble and seeing them doomed to fail. And it really breaks my heart. It really broke my heart here to see that happen. And so, yeah, I'm sad. So, also, probably should have said this before, but seeing how far the Jedi Council has come, man. I mean, fallen. I know I talked about how far the Republic has fallen, but I didn't talk about the Jedi Council. Holy shit. They were willing to oust Ahsoka. They were willing to basically arrest Ahsoka to save public face, and then they were surprised when Ahsoka didn't want to rejoin the Order. It's like, bitch, you sold her out for like 2, political points. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it shows the problem that the Jedi had ever since, I mean, I don't know, we don't know when, but they had it since The Phantom Menace, and they've had it before then. Jedi only care about politics. I don't know what I'm doing this bounce, but they only care about politics. Politics is the only thing they give a shit about. Yeah. You know, they care more about saving face than actually standing up for one of their own that they know actually is trustworthy. It just sucks. Sucks. And, yeah. I don't know. I sort of think I've sort of said everything. I can't think of anything else. Maybe I'll record more if I have something else to say about this storyline. But really, obviously, the big focus is Anakin and Obi-Wan. And seeing that the Republic is obviously so close to the Empire already. You know, and you sort of see... I don't know. In the clones in this episode, when they're chasing Ahsoka, to me, you see stormtroopers. Now, obviously, they're not as good at combat as stormtroopers because stormtroopers can't fucking hit for shit. And these are people bred for combat. But still, the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they act, their uniforms, they're basically stormtroopers. You know, and so, again, you sort of see the combination of all this stuff that's happening in the background. All this stuff that's happening in the background. And it's cool to see it pay off. So with that, I think I'm going to call it quits. I don't know when this video is going to come out. Like I said, I'm recording this is July 15th. It is the evening of July 15th. We will see when the fuck this comes out because I have absolutely no idea. Season 4 still has to come out. I've started editing that. I'm a decent way through, but I'm not all the way through, so I'm sorry. I don't know when that's gonna happen. But I wanted to record this now, so I didn't have to think about, thinking about it in my head. Oh, when am I gonna sit down and record this video? So now I've recorded it, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I can go back to doing very minuscule amounts of progress on my season 4 review, and then do that for this one. So anyway. Thank you for watching. Look at this graph. If you want more, like, sub. There will be more. More than just Star Wars: The Clone Wars reviews. I'm just kind of, I would say, want to keep the ship afloat with my channel right now, because I'm just super busy and I don't really have time to do anything else at the moment. But sooner rather than later, I will get to the point where that's not the case and I can actually focus on doing fun stuff, with this more and get videos out on a timely manner. And so thank you for watching. And if you want to see that stuff soon, actually, by the time this comes out, I don't know when this will come out, but actually by the time this will come out, I will probably be at the point where I can, like I said, have more free time, focus more time and more energy to sort of focus on this stuff more rather than keeping this ship afloat. But, if I'm not at that point by the time this comes out, it should be soon. So, thanks for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone who clicks on these videos, on any one of my videos. But these videos in particular, because they don't do nearly as well as everything else. And so I appreciate people who don't take the time to watch the shit that I want to watch. Watch the shit that I want to make and that I want to make more of in the future. So, yeah, with that, thanks for watching. Seriously, thank you. And if you want to see more, like, sub, look at this graph. Yeah, that's really it. Thanks, guys. Peace.